All right. Morning. My name is Bita Sidanandan, and today is the 23rd of March 2026, and the time is 6:37 a.m. And the area of body we will be maintaining health or by the Nirbeeja Yoga style is the region of the rib cage. Yummy, yummy, yummy. Now, rib cage is also featured quite interestingly in our Book of Genesis, the Garden of Eden story, where Eve is said to have been made from the ribs of Adam. Um, Quite a mythological part of the body. Now, what is also interesting about the rib cage is when you maintain your rib cage or the health of the rib cage, the breadth of the rib cage, or your relationship with life becomes less jailed. Now, if we stay with the mythological connotations, there is Vasudev and Devaki, who were jailed in Kamsa's jail um, because somebody said that Devaki's child would be the nemesis, no, be the destroyer of Kamsa. Yeah. And so, to prevent that happening, they were jailed. And then Krishna is also the eighth child of Vasudeva and Devaki. Now, there are mythological stories, and there are allegories, because a lot of mythological stories we have are our ancestors' ways, methods of communicating with the available technology they had, or that which would transmit information over a long time for a time when the messages would be interpreted the way they need to be, and then further development from there. So, messages from there, by the time they reached me, for me to appreciate the matter, at least, have been in painting, folklore, sculpture, mythological stories, um, temples, religious practices, books, also encoded in the fabric of time space through the elements. So it's about our ability to then read the different available material, the unknown material. One of the unknown material is our own human body, which didn't just form overnight, but over several cycles of civilizational developments, evolutionary um, improvement, and Earth has been the originator of the improvement of various technologies by which the purpose has been to live in life in the multiverse. And life is beauty with a purpose, and so is Earth with beauty with a purpose and incorporation with a purpose. And human beings may not be as incorporated enough to be able to function um, by the design of our make. I discovered that human beings are like Earth's body hair, also mentioned in the Upanishads. So I didn't discover it, but it's also been documented as ancients having thought in these terms. And for example, our limbs in the mother's womb, embryologically, went through twisty motions before becoming the hands and limbs we have. Intestines went through twisty motions before becoming the intestines. So, kahani may twist. Yes, a twist in the story. And I can't really say tangled. It's more like we are made up of fibers. So, threads. Yeah, like a skein from where you weave your sweater. Yeah, it's a weave. We are a fine weave. It's also called Vedas. And that makes for an interesting appreciation of how the Vedas are seen. And we have four. Yeah, Rig Veda, Saman Veda, Yajur Veda, Atharva Veda. And then paying attention to what, if we look at our body in that sense and correlate with humans, animals, plants. We are like Earth's body hair, all made up of fibers in different composition. Um, muscle fibers at least. Okay. Um, Microfibers, microfibrils from our cells communicating with different parts of the body. So different arrangement of different kinds of threads. Yeah. Earth's body hair. And when we are functioning like how human beings are supposed to be functioning, for example, what I also call as healthy and natural breathing, or Nirbeeja Yoga, wherein it's like our kitchen sink. If it's clogged, then it doesn't function as well. Our body is made up of several kinds of tubes. Okay, um, food tube, food pipe, windpipe, microfibrils, muscle fibers, different kinds of tubes. And when the tubes are not clogged, they function normally, duh. But they also conduct light very well. They also breathe naturally. They also move different kinds of material around. They also remove waste regularly. Um, and is our body is also a natural cleaning system, like this idea of a sea cucumber, which bites cookies. Kids love cookies. We don't regard ourselves to be kids, but we are the children of life. And when we regularly are digesting the cookies, yeah, otherwise we get cookie crumbled from life's experiences, and then your bones are a little fixed rather than them functioning by Haversian canals where they can actually breathe. Yeah, you become a little fixated. Your bones are just functioning not like tubes, no Haversian canals, but fixed, cookied, um, crumbly sometimes. But also we need to maintain composition such that there is no osteoporosis. Yeah. So when we are functioning like the sea cucumber, then we are helping clean the fabric of time space of, say, um, air pollution, sound pollution, light pollution, all kinds of things. But instead, we have come up with technology. We have Diwali, rockets, tissue. So all the different particulate matter in the environment getting cleaned. Um, so nature's original ingenious way of making the air clean enough. Um, but yeah, there are several things happening on how life is maintained on Earth. So while human beings are also functioning, and then so we are all workers in the sense to think and then arrive at better means of how to not just maintain home, but also in the process and live in life in the multiverse. By this world is a cocoon, but thing is, when we are functioning in a manner that's conducive to the microcosm and macrocosm, then particles, vesicles, microbes, plants, animals, different compositions, they start functioning more humanely from the composition of our body. And what goes around comes around. When you are breathing naturally, then you're influencing the environment to also breathe naturally because particles, vesicles have a different quantum behavior. Now, yeah, they learn how to function, behave better. Like kids, we grow kids. Being an example, how you function is also how kids who are around us, people who are around us, kids who are not even born, but are all paying attention on why to be born, how to live, because as humans, because they may have had past life experiences, particles, different experiences, and then we have layers and layers of ancestors. So they would like to try out life. And then how better to live now, given that times have changed and new technologies, and but they also died because they didn't know something. And I'm talking about there's a better way of living and maintaining a bodysuit. Yeah. So how to maintain your bodysuits and live in such a way that you're becoming better, people around you are becoming better, future generations are becoming better, their future generations are also becoming better. Because and you're making sure their future generations are also becoming better. So how then do you do? There is karma, dharma, charma, marma. Four. We also have breathe, heal, love, live. That's also there. We also have four brand values, which you okay. Let's just say four Vedas: Rig Veda, Yajur, Saman Veda, Athara Veda, mm, Yajur Veda, Saman Veda. There's also the longing within us, which is also the Yajur Veda. Yeah. So we will try and address that bit through this life, and the rib cage um, has a fine relationship with how that yearning is met with compassion versus your surviving life while there are yearnings within us. So that would also make it, are we jailed in our own rib cage, or are we breathing and protected by our rib cage? Now, I invite you to bring your attention to your chest and notice the movement of your chest while you're breathing naturally, which means there is no inhale deep and exhale to feel the movement of your chest. You could do that, but eventually you're going to come to be breathing naturally. And the movement of your chest while you're breathing naturally would be subtle, so subtle sometimes that you'd have to make your attention fine, softer, to be able to feel the movement of your chest while you're breathing naturally. Now, the movement in the front of the chest would be different from the movement in the sides of the chest, would be different from the movement in the back of your chest. And while you are going about that, it would help if you're going to pay attention to your chest in terms of warmth, to be able to feel the movement of your chest. When you're paying attention to warmth, softness also may be more accessible, because warmth and softness are a little felt sense, but paying attention to warmth and softness may make it easier for you to feel the movement of your chest, which otherwise may be a little difficult. There are other finer details, but at least go by warmth and softness. And notice, how is your chest moving? Now, don't go by expectation of how the chest should be moving, but instead notice, how is your chest moving, however it is moving. Now, you could notice differential moving. Left and right is moving differently. That is also fine, because the nervous system that innervates your left side of your body is different from the nervous system that innervates the right side of your body. That is, your brain's left hemisphere innervates the right side of your body, and your brain's right hemisphere innervates the left side of your body. The muscles are also managed differently. It's kind of, they call it the masculine side and feminine side. The right side is said to be the male side of the body, and left side is said to be the female side of the body. And um, your body also processes heat differently. The right side is said to be more cooler, and the left side is said to be more warmer. Yeah. So you may notice the movement in your chest differently. So if you so try and pay attention to how the left side of the body moves and the right side of the body moves. Okay? But we had to begin with noticing movement of your chest while you're breathing naturally. We had to begin at some place. Continue to pay attention to your chest in terms of warmth, softness, and movement. Now, there will be a lot to pay attention to, because your body could be making a lot of movements, soft, subtle movements, but in otherwise ordinary terms, if you haven't been paying attention to warmth and softness, so many movements could overwhelm you. But these movements may tend to comfort you. Why I say that is, there are many kinds of movements, and you would have to pay attention to them. But the more you pay attention to them, while being also aware of what's happening around you, this is like a little secret comforter. Why I say that is, we may not be familiar or permitted also sometimes to feel our own body as much, because they would say, you're so self-centered. Why can't you, you should be paying attention to what's happening around you and take care of things. Yeah. So um, here, what you're doing is you're taking care of yourself and paying attention to what's around you. So it would take a little while, but if you slow down and not go fast, 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 at least for this while, you begin to, over time, have an ability to have a compass. One part of your attention to be on your body, the other part of your attention on the outside to do your work, different details. And there are many movements in the body, and there are many activities outside. So over time, the amount of attention, what all you can pay attention to at the same time, will increase. Now, the thing is, if you're not aware of your body and the different details that's happening in your body, it may not be possible for you to pay attention to what's happening around you in such a way that external is also functioning fine. Because otherwise, you're a little discoordinated. When you're paying attention to your body, the different levels of attention that is required, and paying attention to what's outside, then how you interact, how you work with your different tasks are more likely to be more finer, refined, and precise. And your ability to care improves. And what you care takes care of you and your life, but also takes care of what's being developed. But the thing is, nature has a certain plan. Yeah. What you care about is also in a bit of a ration, in the sense it's a different economy. So there's an internal management system. What is sustainable through cares, how many kind of career we have and what is regarded as a career and how they function, there's a certain economy within there. And how you care about what you care then determines how long your career moves and how it moves and what it works by. So that's also a certain ecological economy. Yeah. Because there is so much resources. Yeah. And we are in different stages of providing what it takes to supply the care industry. Yeah. Because we are busy surviving life. So a lot of resources invested in surviving than in the care. And we call it as a career, but it's about how is our economy functioning and how much GDP per square kilometer and what's getting produced, what is sustainable, how much of landfills, how much is it. So all of those fine details, what then supplies the care industry. And nature, earth is a fine organization, incorporation. So what gets approved, what gets followed through depends on how you care, how you then work with um, that field of interest. I recommend paying attention to one detail, one hobby or a project that you're interested in, and then work out the details in such a way that you are making life better, adding value in such that life becomes better. And that would also require you taking care of yourself, but also how you take care of that job, that value, um, that craft, but in a way that actually makes your life better, people around you better, future generations better, their generations also better. The rib cage is made up of several ribs, bones, forming the cage. And when you pay attention to your chest in terms of warmth, softness, and movement, one of the textures that is appreciable in your chest are the bones of the rib, the rib cage, the sternum, which is a breastplate. There is the clavicle. There are the floating ribs in the lower part of the rib cage. There's also muscles. There are tissues, for example, lungs, your heart, your thymus. So you have different textures, but which is also makes for several movements. But let's just say you won't be able to feel any of the movements. Um, Yeah, but sometimes they are like, oh, I'm there here too. Yeah. So you might notice many kinds of movements, but um, if you tend to get overwhelmed, there is a certain, let's just say, threshold within your conscious, subconscious, unconscious, supraconscious processes too, which is kind of like, how do you say, fuse, different levels of fuse, yeah, threshold to keep you safe. So if you notice something overwhelming, you can only notice to the extent that your conscious, subconscious, unconscious, or supraconscious processes can handle the matter. Yeah, you could go through, but that would in some way be within the range of what you can take care of when you're becoming aware of it. So chances are you would walk around or not continue with it, or pay attention to some parts of it. So um, you will settle over time. So there's this idea of God won't give you more than what you can handle. Yeah. So there's this idea of it. So um, just pay attention to warmth, softness, and the different kinds of movement that you can feel about the region of your chest. But about your ribs, if you're not paying attention to warmth and softness, your rib cage may be like frozen meat in the freezer, yeah, where you would need to thaw it. And for thawing it, you need the warmth and softness. And your body offers the um, comforter or warmer by which to thaw the muscles in between your rib cage. Yeah, they call the intercostal muscles. And they may be like so frozen that you could sometimes notice coldness. There may be cold coming from your chest because of how much you haven't been cared for by your own body, at least, or somebody hasn't hugged you enough. Or you just couldn't. You have been busy surviving life, taking care of things to keep food either going into your mouth or on the table. You just couldn't take the time to pay attention to warmth you already have. You can provide the warmth you already have. You didn't know this, but it's available. Try paying attention to warmth and softness, particularly in the sides of your chest, left and right sides. So that's kind of like the seams, like you have your shirt, you have the seams, the stitch in the sides. The left and right sides of your rib cage is like those seams. Yeah. I cannot say they're not doorways, but they hold the front and back of your body along the seams. Yeah. Somehow keeping it together. Continue to pay attention to the warmth, any sense of warmth, any sense of softness, any sense of movement about the sides, left and right sides of your chest. It's going to take a while, but it's okay because paying attention to warmth, softness, movement about sides of your chest is not how you earn your living. So, what we pay attention to becomes better. You have your nervous system, you're an alive person, which means you have nerves, muscles, arteries, veins functioning that enough to keep you alive. And then the nerves have finer endings, and their ability to feel the warmth and softness may not have developed because you may not be paying attention to them, or that may not be important enough for those fine sensibilities to develop, which is also your nerves developing like seeds. Seeds develop shoot and root, and then they have fine endings about the roots to then notice where water is, where food is, and accordingly is how the nourishment for the seed happens. So, your nervous system, when you're beginning to pay attention to your body in terms of warmth and softness, develop those fine nerve endings to then have you have the sensibility, fine sensibility, to notice warmth, softness, and movement. Over time, when these nerve endings become finer, paying attention to the movement that your body is naturally making would become a natural part of how you are. And when you're paying attention to the warmth and softness about the sides of your chest, front of your chest, back of your chest, that may take a while. Why it will take a while is because this may not be familiar to you. Over time, it becomes easier for you to pay attention to the warmth, softness, and gentle movement that your body is making in the front, in the sides, in the back. It will take time, but this is something that's there for you to slowly learn over time. And then you'll have the benefits of it. It's like when you go cycling or when you go swimming. It takes a while for you to get your muscle memory, remember how to also walk. You didn't just learn to walk overnight. You can watch toddlers. Yeah. But once you learn it, you sort of have a muscle memory on how to walk, how to cycle, how to swim. This is something you would develop over time. And your nervous system, your muscles, the arteries, veins, different parts of your body will have a certain coordinative function so that you remember, it becomes part of how you are. Yeah. Of course, you need to maintain it regularly, because you could be faced with different life situations. You travel, and from a warm country you're going to a cold country, say for example, then you're already dealing with jet lag. On top of that, different weather conditions, and then unless you have a health maintenance practice that includes paying attention to your warmth and softness, you could go out of practice, because of, oh, so many things happening in this country, and you could be so lost in all those things, and then you're forgetting to take care of yourself. And the diet is different, so your body is experiencing life differently. So your health maintenance practice may be, okay, it's okay, today I don't have to do it. It's just you don't say, today I'm not going to brush my teeth. I mean, you could do that, but if you do that regularly, there's a benefit. If you don't do it, there's something that doesn't become as available, and it becomes a habit over time, until you would have to again discipline yourself to, at this point in time, I'm going to be brushing. At this point in time, going to be doing this. And then that's how you rebuild your habit for maintaining health. I'm saying this because I've tried this. So I know this tends to happen. Yeah. So there's this idea of agoris, or the Shaivites, going for matted hair. Yeah. So yeah, a little bit of details. So you kind of learn human behavior, and then you observe different tribes of people behaving in many ways, and they're still human. So I had to wonder, what in the world are they looking at? Kind of. So all right, now pay attention to your. So how do your healthy habits become other than that? Is by that regularity going off. But when you're able to pay attention to warmth, softness, and moisture, okay, warmth, softness, and movement of your tissues, you are more like earth having life, and also like the sun maintaining the warmth, but also, I would say, moon, in the sense, time. Your body functions by circadian rhythms. Your heart beats at a particular pace. Your lungs expand and contract at a particular pace. Different tissues have their own pace. But moon is also, so many calendar time, there's a certain movement. There's also time. 28 days is said to be uh, the cycle. But there are also menstrual cycle, also 28 days. But sun also, we have a 24-hour clock. This, when does the sun? So you're on Earth. So there is that time, and then there's the sun, and then there is, how do you appreciate your own health? And you could be jailed in your own rib cage if you're not paying attention to warmth and softness. And over time, the muscles of your rib cage begins to start thawing, and then your muscles begin to move in a way that could be sometimes experienced as different kinds of temperature showing up, but it gives you the opportunity to have the space, which is not a jailed space. That would take a while. That's like a fish frozen in a freezer to now beginning to breathe here. So from being a mummy, uh, don't know when you got frozen in, from experiences, past life experiences, or daily experiences of life, to slowly you taking care of yourself enough that your rib cage, you notice warmth inside your own body. Slowly, slowly, the warmth begins to thaw all of those muscle, frozen muscle memories, muscle experiences. And then your rib cage begins to start moving in a way that is not just very limited space. But having more, your rib cage can expand a little more, muscles can expand a little more, and how you breathe inside will have more space, more depth, more warmth. The breath coming out of your body would be more warmer. If that okay, while you're going about this process, your chest could go cold every now and then, or because it's like, thawing from a freezer. Your breath could be cold. There could be heaviness in your breath. There could be the length of your breath could vary. If there is fear getting processed inside, then your breath could go, yeah. If there is anger, for example, the length of the breath would be different. But you will notice these emotions going through. But which is why I say pay attention to warmth, softness, and try not to go more than 12 minutes, 10, 12 minutes. Yeah, a little bit of warmth, and then go about your activities. And if you can continue to notice warmth, softness, good for you, not necessarily only about the chest, but anywhere about your body, so that you're gradually getting used to noticing the warmth and softness. Your nervous system would be developing those fine sensibilities. That would also, it's kind of like a teddy bear. Yeah, you're wearing this comforter, which is your tissue, your body. And you, no matter anybody else cares or not, you have this warm blooded, soft bodied human body. Yeah. And just being aware, slowly, slowly, you would be able to care for yourself, because your body is designed by care, to care. Okay, by care at least. Actually also care. When you care and care enough, you have a career, and you have a caring career, care or career. So it's about how much you continue to care for yourself. And your body is already warm and soft. That's how human bodies are. Yeah. You're not robot material. Yeah. Um, but if you feel your different parts of your body sometimes feels like wood, sometimes feel a little like, robot parts, that's because you haven't paid attention to warmth and softness about that part of your body. Some people have, say, diabetic neuropathy, those kinds of things. That's also because you haven't paid attention to that part of your body in terms of warmth and softness. And make very small movements without getting to pain. Before pain comes, stop. Gentle movements, very gentle movements, while paying attention to warmth and softness. That also begins to sort of thaw any muscles which may be a little frozen or not moving as well. And then you need to stop before you experience any sense of pain. Yeah. Very gentle stretch, very gentle. Over time, the range of stretching or the range of moving becomes better. If you're not noticing stretchiness, then okay, I can guide you through this. For example, if it's your legs, your toes are related with your thighs, for example. Move only your toes slightly move this way. There are muscles from your toes all the way to your thighs, which will also get slightly stretched over time. Very tiny movements. But you first noticing the softness of your tissues and warmth of your tissues goes a long way in slowly frozen muscles, for example, or they are not moving as well, or you can't feel them. That sensibility returns. Okay. So your rib cage similarly requires you to pay attention to warmth, softness, and movements that are already happening. Um, and then over time, as you start noticing your rib cage, you can feel your ribs, bones versus muscles. At least we can feel bones, and then you can notice your bones are moving because when you're naturally breathing. Then further would be you paying, there are further details on how you maintain health by the Nirbeeja Yoga method, which is again healthy natural breathing, but there is also a lot more Tattva Shuddhi, Vishachikitsa, there is detanglement, there is healthier metabolism. So how do you then digest different experiences? Then how does yoga as an integration happen, but it's more than that. It's how you, mm, I told you, tubes, microtubules, different kinds of tubes, declogging them. Yeah, lots of fine details. So I can only right now recommend warming up to Nirbeeja Yoga. Yeah. So these lives are to help us at least become familiar with warmth and softness and moisture, relaxation, ease. If you can notice moisture or relaxation or ease, you are slowly coming to becoming better, um, more caring for yourself, kinder with yourself, in a way that you don't expect this moment to immediately have a result. You will be kinder with yourself, more patient with yourself, so that you continue to pay attention to warmth, softness, moisture, relaxation, ease. You will know these are there to be experienced. They may not be immediately available, but over time, as you are paying attention to these warmth and softness, and then subtle movements that are already happening. For example, if you can move your toes, then that's a movement that's available. If it's not, then pay attention to what may be the movements happening in your body. Yeah. Because our body is designed to move. And then the thing is, can you feel those movements or not? So your ability to feel the movements is dependent on your nerves. And your nerves may not have been fine enough to sense those movements because you may just not have paid attention to your body in terms of movements. Okay. So over time, as you're paying attention to what movements there are, your nerves begin to get, oh, you're looking for something. So they find little details to, okay, is there movements again? And at some point, if there is movements, your nerves will pick it up. You're an alive alive body move that's there. Um, Voluntary muscles, involuntary muscles, different kinds of movements, blood moving, there is movement happening. But when you pay attention and watch for movements, you will notice movements happening. There are so many more details from there, but good enough. Yeah. So you're right. There'll be yoga. Yoga with a difference. Um, and how is it yoga? You're curious? Well, let's have a discussion. Let's have a one-to-one. You could contact me on learn.dynamicstillnesses.com, LEARN dot DYNAMICSTILLNESSES.com. So I have left my number and all of those details there. So do contact and we could work on your specific challenge that you're faced with or your loved ones, and we can slowly warm up to basics. Um, Basics never go out of vogue. So this is a foundational experience of what it means to be human. And then our humanity across boundaries is at least dependent on the basics of, well, having a body that's human. So we'll slowly warm up to the basics. And then we will have better humanity across boundaries, better experience of living, better at least health. Yeah. And so we'll be finer. The sun comes up, this the warm personality and not just waiting for, oh my goodness, yeah. To the sun comes up, and then how you look at life, what you see is possible in life begins to start getting better. Yeah. Finer. And then you will see what all is there inside you. Yeah. At least if you're writing, that's a movement you can voluntarily make with your hands. If you can write or if you can paint, it could be a book which you refer to, but express in some way, move your muscles, um, find your way to communicate or at least express. If you can communicate, if you have a group with whom you can share, or you are developing an idea, you could develop it in a book and then look at how then can you add value to where you are, what you are making available, but in a way that you are becoming better, people around you are becoming better, future generations are also becoming better, and their future is also getting better. Your experience, your past-based experience need not have to be what future generations have to encounter. Yeah, or so. You warm up to who you are, what your stories have been, and then convert them to values, which will then add value to people. For that, a book will help. So over time, you'll be able to see what works, what doesn't work. You observe people, yeah. Slowly, you'll be able to see what opportunities there are by which problems that you may be facing get solved, yeah. And over time, we will have better humanity across boundaries. I think everybody is trying to take care of others in one way or the other, yeah. Themselves also, themselves also. It's not just about taking care of others, yeah. So one point of attention on yourself, one point of attention outside. So like how you draw a circle with a compass, point in the center, and you do that. Yeah. So take care of yourself and others. Yeah. And future generations. So that's like X, Y, Z. Yeah. X axis, Y axis, Z axis. All right. So Y, X and Y is also there in your body. The female side is the X, the left side X, right side male, and then Z is which direction are you going? So your nose is already pointing forward, so you know which direction you're going. Yeah, आगे. जिंदगी आगे बढ़नी है. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope this has been of value to you. Continue to pay attention to warmth and softness. You will be a little more easy in your rib cage. Yeah. Life will be less constricting. Good day.